Well, hello, Mr. Jason.
Hello there.
I like the believe hat.
You know that? You like that?
I like it, and I know that.
It's the first step.
The first step to believing is believing?
It's the first step to any outcome.
That's true. You got to believe it. If you don't believe it, then what happens?
Well, you won't behave, and then you won't become.
Oh, behave.
Oh, behave.
So that's interesting. That hat takes us to where we're going to go. I noticed something here in the agency, and we know that everything is kind of cyclical, right? We go up and down, and we can have some great months. And what'll happen is maybe we take the foot off the gas a little bit or start getting a little bit lazy with some stuff because now we just won the Super Bowl. We had a great month, and then it starts to...
Or you take 7 vacations
in
1 year.
And you don't have the right people working, and then all of a sudden it goes crazy. Who knows, right? Anything can happen.
Right.
So you're right. I've been out a lot. In my experience, having expectations too high, if I'm not there, is unrealistic, right? Those are unrealistic expectations because I don't think that anybody who works for you is ever going to care or be more passionate about your business than you, right? For them, it's job.
Right.
And so by default, the more the owner is away, the greater likelihood that things are going to start to atrophy a little bit, right? Eventually, there's a potential that now, because we stop doing these things, or even in a month or in a couple weeks, whatever, in some time frame, we're going to start getting that decline. So do you have anything you want to comment so far?
Yeah. And I know the way you are because I know the way I am. We're very similar, and I think agents probably have less of a problem with, so I don't know how relevant it is, but is being consistent with checking those KPIs. You expect like certain KPIs and you might set the expectation out there.
Yep.
But our employees know that sometimes we forget about them for a while. And then it falls off and then you go back to them like, oh, I didn't know we were still doing that.
When was the memo that circulated that said we're no longer going to be tracking our quotes?
Right.
Right. Like why would that make sense? So yeah, totally. Right. So we have all the tools and the resources, right? You and I have both built the thing because we know that we cannot be as consistent personally all the time. So in doing so, we create the process that creates the consistency, right? So we don't have to deal with that. So yeah. I know that if I spent this much on leads and I have this many people making dials, and I have this many people doing quotes, I have a pretty good idea how many quotes need to be done to get to a certain result, and based on a certain spend, where I should be. So I'll give you an example. Like as I noticed that I get back from Portugal, gone a month, then I go to Hawaii, gone almost another month. So that's 2 months, not very engaged. And I hope none of them are listening because, well, you know what, I do hope they're listening because they'll know that I am much more engaged and looking at those numbers now. So so those numbers, I was getting lazy at looking at, right? And it's easy. Look for the week. If there's 4 producers, there should be 40 quoted households a day. That's 200 quoted households for the week, 800 for the month. Not very difficult, right? So I know, okay, week 1, did we do 200? Week 2, are we at 400? Week 3, are we at 600? Did we hit these leading indicator numbers that have to be hit in order to get to the result that we want to get?
Right.
And as I look back, guess what?
Nope.
No. So, and it wasn't terrible, but it's like 7. Everybody's get 7, 8 instead of 10. Well, okay, that's 30% less. So if they're doing 30% less quotes over the month, do you think it's safe to say that we did 30% less business?
Yep.
Guess what we did? 30% less business. Like the numbers always work out, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny that we have the formula right in front. We know the path, and still it's challenging just to manage all of the pieces.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's funny too, because like there's leading indicators, which are all the activity leading up to the thing. And then you have your lagging indicators, which is after the sales. And the thing is, you do have your leading indicators and your lagging indicators. Your lagging indicators are going to be the thing that you feel. You're going to feel that. Why? You're going to feel that in the pocketbook. You're going to see it on the sales. You have to be paying attention to the leading indicators because that is going to represent what's happening in the future. Your lagging indicators are in the past. So that has to do with the leading indicators of a month ago or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
A lot of times we get those lagging indicators and then we get emotional about them. But what was it that led up to that? If you have poor retention, if you have a bad loss ratio, like what are the indicators that would show that those policies are written poorly, that you're getting the bad loss ratio? What's showing that people are leaving? Like what little things can we do? And how can we create those KPIs, those leading indicators, so that we can know whether or not we're going to get that poor outcome.
Right.
And if we focus on the front end, like prior to the thing happening and create the systems there, then the things won't happen. Like, don't ever be emotional about the result of something. Use the result of something to show what's actually going on. Because the result, going back to the believe, behave, become, it's like once something has become something, it's because of the prior activities.
Yes.
Like, don't be mad at that. Just look at it as like, okay, we suck at this right now. So what are the things that led up to this and what can we do to change it? Put that in place and don't be mad at the result, because the results will change as long as you have a system in place that you're constantly looking at the KPIs. Your team knows exactly what to do to change it, and then stay consistent daily.
I love it. I love everything you just said there. And I think that it's so great.
You just said there.
I love it. You complete me. No, I love, now I don't even know. Now I don't even know what I love. No, I'm just messing with you. So I'm thinking about how even fairly recently, where I'm talking about that, where the sales are lower and I get upset, right? I'm over there getting upset, maybe complaining to you. I know that you've looked at me and said, well, maybe you're mad at yourself. And it's really hard to hear, especially when you're mad and you realize it is on me, right? Like, I'm mad that they didn't write 120 when they should have written 120, but instead they wrote 90. But then it's like, had I been looking at the leading indicators, I would have known 777 every day just doesn't get you to where I needed to get. They have to quote 10 new households each. If it was 10, 10, 10, guess what? We would have done 120. I wouldn't have to be mad at myself because I actually would have looked at those things.
Yeah. And if it's hard for you to like follow up on those things, and it's like, then have your manager, your team, like text you those numbers. You know what I mean? Like every week on Fridays, if there's 4 people in the office and it's supposed to be, what did you say?
Well, minus 10 quoted households works it out. That's the
and
number.
There's 4 agents?
40, yeah. So 200.
So there should be 200. So then it's like 200. And then what was the actual number and where did the other 3 go? Or, 25. And how are we going to make it up the next week? Like, that's what I want the service manager to text me every single Friday, because that is the most important metric. You know what I mean? Like, set up stuff like that can help you in your agency. And if you're like me and Craig, you're going to need that stuff. And that's what we do to like make up for,
make up for lost time.
For us, it's like, we're not going to be the most detailed on that, but like put somebody in charge of that one thing that, you know what I mean? So that you don't have to do it.
And I would argue that this is super important this is of one of the highest value activities of the agency, right? I basically wasn't really plugged into anything, and that's why this wasn't done. So it's important. If I know this is the highest value thing, I definitely should not be answering the phone and helping somebody with a claim instead of doing this, right? And I think that, I know that for many years, I would find the reactionary thing that's much easier just to handle instead of the proactive thing that's actually going to contribute to better results.
Yes. And I know that probably came off cold. Somebody has a claim to not help them, but I know what you're saying.
Well, no, because you know what? There's somebody else in the office that's much better equipped
100%
to do it. Knows how to do it better. And that's what they should be doing, right? That's what the team should be doing. Like, if the team was the ones holding themselves accountable for doing 10 quoted households during the day, then it's not going to happen.
Well, it's like this. You using your time as an investment. What's going to serve you in the future? What's going to pay off over and over and over again? Setting those systems up, like you focusing on that, it's going to be compound results. Where it's like, if you handle that immediate thing, it's just what you're handling that day and it's done. So it's squashed, it's gone. It's like you're not getting the compound results from it. So I think that the high level agent needs to look at the compounding result type thing. Like, how do we take our time with 10 minutes today that will pay off dividends in the future, right?
Dividends.
Which it's hard to do. It's not the easiest thing.
It's not. You got to do it.
Do you want to sign us out, Craig? Can you do that?
Well, if you haven't been to our webpage on the World Wide Web, that's www.theidudes.com. There's a great cartoon of Mr. Jason over there without his believe hat. And if you like this, go ahead and hit ahead and pound the subscribe button with one of those hammers from Super Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Ka-ting, ka-ting.
A link to the hammer, to the Amazon link will be in the comments below.
Can you get those now?
No, I don't know.
From the Koopa Troopas?
Right.
Oh no, they have boomerangs. Anyway, we'll see you on the flippity flip.